Hi there, this is Ivan, the aviation guy from Mama Air Innovation. We're still continuing with our Boeing 737 Simulator Class 3 series, and today we are going to look at how pilots brief themselves onto the flight they're going to take. What are the nitty-gritties that are involved into the pre-flight, and why do they do the pre-flight? Coming up. Okay, captains, why don't you fasten your seat belts? Okay, full power, V1 and rotate. All right, and before we continue with our pre-flight, I would like to thank the entire administration of Blue Chip Flying School, okay, for the goodness that they did. Ian finishes PPL in record time. Thank you, Blue Chip. Thanks to our instructor, Dex. Thanks to our CFI, Brandon. Thanks to Miguel, our deputy CFI, and the entire administration. Ronel, thank you so much. And Antoinette, thank you so much. And the entire staff of the instructors, we really thank you so much. I'm called Ivan, aviation guy from Mama Air Innovation, and I'm a proud student of Blue Chip. Why don't you try Blue Chip? If you want to finish in a record time and with the smallest, the least number of hours for a PPL, try Blue Chip. Okay, we are talking about how pilots sit down and pre-flight themselves on the flight that they're going to take. Number one, pilots would sit down, both of them, the captain and the first officer, so that they can consent to particulars of the flight. Okay, they will look at the route. Okay, they will look at the seeds for that day. They will look at the route that they're going to take. Okay, they will look at the waypoints and the airways that are really involved. If the route has a view or a station to get through or approach and get through, they will look into that. Okay. Then pilots will look at the runway that is in use. After having retrieved information from the ATIS, ATIS stands for Automatic Terminal Information Services. This is a pre-recorded message that pilots tune to a particular frequency so that they can get at least information of that particular aerodrome. Either they're approaching on or they are going to depart. Okay, they may look at things like what runway is in use and what runway is in close. They may use what taxiways that are really involved. What information are we going to use when coming in approach or departure? Say for instance, okay, this is WAMA 737 with information Quebec or information Charlie or information Delta. That is all after having retrieved that information from the ATIS, the Automatic Terminal Information Center, okay, services, okay. Then ATIS is, like I said, it's a pre-flight, pre-recorded message that you tune to a particular frequency. Pilots will tune to that, at least get to know what taxiway they're going to use when approaching and what runway, when they're going to hold short of that runway and what runway is in use. Next, then pilots will look at the altitude that they're going to fly. Depending on that particular day, departure procedure they have to take, depending on the winds, what runway is in use. Each and every runway has its particular departure procedure and has its particular SIDS. SIDS stands for standard information departure, okay? Or approach, when they're coming into approach, they use STARS, standard terminal arrival routes or standard instrumental arrival routes. They have a particular procedure to follow. Then pilots will sit down and discuss that particular procedure. If there is any altitude constraints and speed constraints, they will look into that depending on that particular departure of the day. Okay, pilots will then look at the weather. Okay, they will look at the weather of that particular day for which they're going to execute their flight. Okay, they will look at the meter. What's meter? Meter is that specific weather forecast over that area, or current specific weather forecast of that aerodrome or airport currently. And they will look at the TAF. What's TAF? TAF is the forecast of that particular aerodrome for a specific period of time, like 24 hours. They will read the meter, they will read the TAF. Then after, they will look at the current weather, for which time they are going to execute their own flight. Okay, pilots will discuss the QNH prior ATC given them the QNH. They will look at it. Okay, they will see things like wind shear. Do we have a wind shear on that day, on that time that we're going to execute the flight? They will look at the wind speeds. Okay, then they will look at the gusts. Okay, then they will look at, do we have a crosswind on the particular aerodrome that we are going to execute the takeoff? Is there a crosswind, or do we have a tailwind? All that will be elucidated and discussed. Then they will look at the visibility. Visibility is so important. Okay, if it's more than 10, then best of the best. If it's somewhat clumsy, they will see how to maneuver through that visibility. Then pilots will look at the precipitation of that day. Okay, then they will look at the density, altitude, so that it defines their QNH. Then they will look at the temperature. Okay, then they will look at many other factors. Okay, so that if there is an issue that should be combated, let it be combated prior their execution of the flight. All right, next. Now, pilots will look into the aircraft itself. So, for instance, for us, we're going to fly an aircraft that is a Boeing 737-800. Okay, it's a plane that we're going to do. Pilots will sit down and look at the plane. Okay, first of all, they will look at the airworthiness of the plane. Is it worth it? Is it still up to date? Okay, after it was done, after its service, is the plane up to date? Then after, they will look at the type of plane they're going to fly, 737, looking at the nitty-gritties of a cane, like what flap configuration on that particular day that they're going to execute the flight. Okay, they will look into the thrust. Okay, how much thrust is going to be impacted on the thrust lever. And then next, they will look at the size of the engine. So, for instance, we are flying a 737. It has a 26K. Okay, K 26, 2,600 of thrust. Okay, then pilots will look at the rotation speed of that plane. Okay, what rotation speed are we going to execute depending on the weather? Okay, depending on the density, altitude, depending on the weight they have. All that will be calculated by the CDU, commonly known as the flight management system or the flight management computer. They'll look at how much fuel capacity, depending on the journey, that is going to be filled into the airplane. They'll look at the configuration of flaps. And after having gone through that, then they will look at the crew resource management. How many crew members do they have on board? And each and every crew member's responsibility would be put in consideration. Okay, next, they'll look at the safety considerations. Okay, they'll look into safety. Safety is very, very important. They'll look at the safety procedure that they have to follow for a better flight. They'll look at the emergency procedures they have to follow. Then they will look at the contingency. Contingency means the other plan. That's after plan has failed, the other plans. They'll look at how many passengers do we have on board. Very important. They'll look at how much cargo do we have on board. Okay, so that they can do better calculations with the CDU. Then pilots will look at how they are going to relate with ATC and air traffic information of that day. They will look at issues like frequencies. Okay, what frequencies are they going to use? What frequencies are they going to use when referring to ATIS? That is automatic terminal information services. They should be having them attend. Then they will look at what ground frequencies are they going to use? What tower frequency are they going to use? And after having resumed on their own navigation, they will look at the frequency that they're going to relate with center for information for that, so that they execute a safer flight. They will look at the seeds, I repeat. Seeds is very important. Standard instrument departure, if they are to depart. For stars, standard terminal arrival routes, if they are to come in inbound. They will look at those seeds and how they're going to execute them. Okay? They will look at the runway headings and the particular heading. They expect particular headings from ATC. You see, it's always a good habit to be ahead of the flight plan, so that you fly the plane other than the plane flying you. My instructor used to tell me, Evan, you're not flying the plane, it's the plane flying you. Reason being, I wasn't ready and I hadn't arranged my flight plan well. So if you arrange your flight plan well, it's you to fly the plane, not the plane flying you. Okay, they will look at what taxiway they are going to use, or what taxiway they are going to expect from ATC. Then they will see what they will put into consideration what runway to take off, or what runway should they come inbound. So why don't you join me again onto the board, okay, so that we kind of elucidate in depth how is it, how do pilots look at their flight, okay, and how do they arrange it shortly, okay. Then thank you so much, see you then. Hi there, back again. This is Ivan, your aviation guy from Mama Air Innovations, and today we're going to look how pilots really brief themselves onto their flight. Of course, they don't do it on board like so. Okay, this is a medieval way of doing things, but it's a better way so that you can understand what actually goes up with pilots when they're relating with their own tablets. They use this system. The system is on the tablet. Okay, each pilot has his own tablet, so they sit down and discuss how they're going to execute the file. The same way I'm going to do it here. Okay, now we are going to fly from Foxtrot Alpha Whiskey Bravo to Foxtrot Alpha Oscar Romeo. This is going to be our flight. We're going to fly from Vanderboom National Airport to OR Tambo International Airport. It's a short flight. Okay, so we expect to have ground on frequency 120.6 and tower on frequency 118.35. It's all megahertz, okay? Megahertz, all right. That's what we expect. These are the frequencies that we're going to relate with, and we shall find out more frequencies as we get into the journey. So, surely, we want to draw a sketch here because we truly want to understand the thing better. All right, this is Vanderboom, okay? Right? And okay. They are the piano keys. Or the threshold, okay? This is runway 2, 9er. This is runway 11. This is runway 06. This is runway 24. They are the piano keys, and this is the center line of the runway and the piano keys. All right? Okay. Now, we do have our terminal area here. And our Boeing 737-800 is really packed up here. We are here. Okay? Now, after pilots having heard from ATIS, Automatic Terminal Information Service, that departure runway is 29er, okay? And the information that we're going to depart with, say it's Quebec, okay? Then pilots definitely know where to tax. Should get prepared where to tax, okay? They know they're going to tax Charlie here, okay? Then join. After taxing Charlie, they will come in here, join Bravo here, okay? Then they will join Bravo and they will hold short here at runway 29er. This is Charlie, this is Bravo, okay? Then, having said that and done, okay, they will be clear to take off. This is a discussion between two pilots, okay? Then they will say, in case we are clear to take off, what do we expect? Okay? Now that the departure runway for runway 29 for sure is U-turn. If you're flying a Cessna, you turn on 46. Okay? Again. Ground level. 4,600. Because the elevation for Vanderboom is 4095. This is the elevation for Vanderboom. So at 46, you turn right. Okay? You turn right then en route. Okay, so pilots will sit down and discuss. Okay, now that we are flying a heavy jet, we may not turn at 46. Okay, we may turn as far as Roslyn. All right, we imagine they're going to turn as far. They go through it. Okay, so if there is any change, that will depend on ATC, but they should have a specific idea, a specific picture of what may happen. So they may come here and say, okay, if departure says, or tower says, maintain runway heading, we shall maintain a runway heading, okay, like so. We shall maintain a runway heading like so, okay. As far as Roslyn here, okay, then we shall turn right, according to ATC's instruction, okay, and climb. Okay, according to the pilots, they may have a specific altitude they would wish, okay, to execute. But tower may come in with its own height altitude depending on the traffic, okay. Then all that put in consideration, these pilots are really setting up all scenarios in case some tower comes in and say, okay, Wama 737, maintain your runway heading, okay, climb and maintain 10,000s. Then they will come in and climb and maintain 10,000. Okay, always follow ATC's instructions because they see whatever is happening and they know how to relate with traffic. Okay, because tower Wama 737 will come in departure. This is Wama 737 with the information Quebec at 5,000s climbing to 7,000s. Then tower would say, no, Wama 737, maintain your runway heading, climb and maintain 10,000. Then you follow that. You should be ready. Then after, because we're coming in here, down here, okay? This is our destination, okay? And this is our runway 03, right? This is our runway 03, left, okay? This is our runway 21, left. This is our runway 21, right. Okay, that's it. Okay, so this is OR Tambo. It has 2 runways, okay, and the piano keys. So we're coming in here. This is OR Tambo. Okay, so now we climb and maintain depending on ATC. So we shall come all the way after having vectored us this way, and they will tell us, okay, after rudder plate dam. Let us imagine this is rudder plate. It's a dam called rudder plate. Okay. Then after rudder plate, turn to a heading of so and so. Then they will turn to a heading of this. So they would say, tower would say, Wama 737, maintain your runway heading. That is 29er. We shall maintain a runway heading of 29er. Okay. Then they will say, because the departure procedure for vulnerable is always climb, turn right, okay? Because you cannot turn left here. There is what we call the Mahari's Ridge, okay? This is the Mahari's Ridge. Okay, this is it. It's all the way here, okay? So we cannot fly into the ridge, okay? Then Wama 737 will be vectored to fly a heading of 020, okay? Then they will respond, we are going to fly a heading of 200. Then after here, they will tell fly a heading of 110. Okay? All right, they will fly a heading of 110. Then after rudder plate down, okay, then tower would say, report outbound at rudder plate. They will report outbound at rudder plate down, flying a heading of 020. Okay? 200. They will fly a heading of 200. Okay? Then after rudder plate down, okay, they will request for flight level. Okay, it's after here that they will request for flight level. Wama would come in and say, okay, Johannesburg information south. This is Wama 737, routing from Vanderboom to Oratambo. Okay, we are requesting flight level, say 120. Okay, on the frequency of 119.5, then we see we are talking about Johannesburg Information Center okay, on frequency 119.95 megahertz. All right, so we shall request flight level 120. Okay, so now your husband may come in and say, okay, flight level 120 granted, and report back maintaining flight level 120. Then we shall come in and maintain 120. Then we shall report back up. We are currently maintaining 11737. We are currently maintaining flight level 120. Then they will proceed with that heading. Okay, so after they reach here, they will say, Johannesburg information, we are currently changing to frequency to 124.5, okay? That is OR Tambo approach, okay, around here. Then there was the approach, OR Tambo, okay? Approach Foxtrot Alpha Oscar Romeo, okay, on frequency 124.5 megahertz. It is here that they will say, Tambo at frequency 124.5 megahertz, we are requesting vectors for joining and landing procedures. Okay, we are currently at flight level 120. Then approach will let them descend to a specific altitude. If you've been flying this route, always from Vadaboom to OR Tambo, you definitely know what altitude you are to descend on. Then these guys will start to descend, okay? And approach may say, descend and maintain your heading. They will descend at specific altitude. Would say, descend and maintain 7,000, okay? Maintain your heading. Then we will read back, descend and maintaining 7,000 and maintaining runway maintaining our heading. Then it's after here, there is a VOR station here, down here, okay? There is a VOR station down here. And I guess its frequency is 116.5 megahertz, I think. So it's after here that Foxtrot Alpha Oscar Romeo approach will guide us. Then they will tell us, okay, 11737, turn to a heading of 110, okay? Then we turn to a heading of 110. Then after having reached here, they will give us turn to a heading of, okay? Turn to a heading of 030. Then we come in for final approach, okay? Then after approach will send us to ground, okay? And we shall be cleared IRS runway 03, right? So generally, this is it. Pilots sit down and concur to this, okay? They accept whatever is going to happen. And in case of scenarios, they know what to do better, okay? So, mainly, what should be looked at are the frequencies, okay? The airways, okay? The airways, the waypoints that are involved, okay? The frequencies, airways, waypoints, and the runways that are involved, okay? Remember, ATIS is very important. ATIS. And trust me, before these guys even come in inbound, they will listen to ATIS, okay? So that they have an anticipation of what ATC may say, okay? So this is automatic terminal information service. Like I said, it's a pre-recorded message that guides pilots on what runways are in use, the QNH of that day, okay, the frequencies and the arriving information. So we left here when we departed here at Quebec, okay? We departed here at Quebec, okay? We departed with information Quebec, okay? So we may come in here, ATC would say, this is Johannesburg information, arriving runway is 03 right, okay? Departing runway is 21 right, okay? So for instance, just imagining, okay? QNH is 1017, and that could be okay, the information they could provide. So they'll always tune to ATC on that, or frequency of that particular ATC, and listen to it. So generally, this is the flight that we're going to execute, okay? From Foxtrot Alpha Whiskey Bravo to Foxtrot Alpha Oscar Romeo in our Boeing 737 simulator class 3. Okay guys, see you then when we're going to catch up the flight. Thank you so much.